again for day 3 of Symbolism and WordRoots. My name is Ms. Bailey McCrae, and today we're going to further explore symbolism through the poem Legacies by Nikki Giovanni. I've also included some practices with prefixes and suffixes today, aka affixes. One of the other things we attach symbolism to is color. So take for example today, I'm surrounded by the color green. Green can symbolize growth and living and energy and just positivity. You may even associate it with green means go ahead, go forward. But we also associate it with other negatively connotated things like jealousy, green with envy. The Hulk is an angry green monster. Some of you may think about the Jolly Green Giant on your green beans or whatever frozen vegetable you enjoy. So there are a lot of different ways that we can culturally connotate these symbols. So before assigning an absolute to something, think about, what does this symbol mean to me?
So we're back to Symbolism and WordRoots, day 3. Our objectives for the week, 8.4C and 8.5D. So today we're going to focus on 8.4C, use, but we're going to focus on affixes to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words and technical vocabulary. Again, we're going to keep pushing forward with 8.5D, explaining the use of symbols. That makes our learning targets. Today I will explain the use of symbolism in a poem, Legacies by Nikki Giovanni. I know I can explain it, the use of symbolism, when I can describe the teacher's example of this term. So if you can read, describe, and reiterate my analysis of the poem, then I feel confident that you can explain the use of symbolism in this specific poem. Similarly, the other learning target is, today I will identify 20 affixes. Affixes meaning pre and suffixes. I know I can identify prefixes and suffixes when I can correctly match 80% of them. We define figurative language as words, phrases, or figures of speech used purposefully to emphasize or persuade an audience. Our weekly vocabulary for this slide is symbolism and affixes. We use the term affixes as modifier. Remember, symbolism is an event, object, person, or animal to which significance or meaning is attached. And we used our examples of dove and fire. Also, affixes, prefixes or suffixes, are modifiers. So, if we remember that our root word is that puzzle piece, we have the prefix that can attach here and the suffix that attaches here. Notice how we have the any, we're going to call that an any, and we have the words with the dash on the right, meaning they can be attached on the front end. On the suffix, we have the any on the other side. And just like that, you notice that, let me move myself here, that we have the dash at the beginning of these words, indicating that they go at the end of the root word. That's a lot. Just think, pre, before. Okay? Pre-reading, something you do before reading. In fact, pre is a prefix. That doesn't work for suffix. It's just the after one. So, legacies. Much in the same way that I read part of the Robert Frost poem and gave you the resources, I have attached the Common Lit PDF to this slide, as well as a screen reading of me reading the poem. I did this because perhaps you don't have your Common Lit account. I do. There's a lot of resources available there. You can sign up as a student, or you may even already have one as an RPS student. Check it out. But if you haven't checked it out yet, don't worry about pausing the video and doing that. You can just go to the slide deck and click on that link. Similarly, The screencast takes you to a Loom link, much like this, what I'm doing right now, and it's me reading the whole poem. I know we hopped around again, but that's okay. So this is what your Common Lit PDF would look like. You have your stanza lines here, and we'll notice that it's only 20 lines. So I want you to think about the title of this poem. It's called Legacy. What does a legacy mean? What is a legacy? Well, it's something we leave behind. It's the impact that we want people to remember us by. So, as I read through this poem and pause briefly, I want you to consider, what does this poem have to do with legacies? Her grandmother called her from the playground. "Yes, ma'am. I want you to learn how to make rolls," said the old woman proudly. Now, she wants her to make rolls. Now, we have an omniscient narrator, and we have a little girl and a grandmother. So let's think about that as we continue reading. But the little girl didn't want to learn how because she knew, even if she couldn't say it, that would mean when the old one died, she would be less dependent on her spirit. Doesn't sound like they're talking about rolls anymore. So she said, "I don't want to know how to make no rolls," with her lips poked out. She rude. And the old woman wiped her hands on her apron, saying, "Lord, these children." And neither of them ever said what they meant. And I guess no one ever does. But what about the rolls? Why would the grandmother need to teach her granddaughter how to make rolls? Isn't that what recipes are for? I mean, does it matter if you learn how to make it exactly how she made it? Does it matter that they never said what they meant to one another? If you're guessing that the rolls are a symbol for the grandmother's legacy, then you'd be right. The conversation between the granddaughter and the grandmother is significant because they both want to spend time with each other and cherish one another. And the grandmother wants to do that by teaching her how to make the rolls. But the granddaughter doesn't want to let go of her grandmother's presence in her life. So we have to think about the task of making the rolls as a symbol for imparting knowledge and legacy. Is there something in your family that might be a legacy? So again, on this slide, you'll be able to see my slide deck on the RPS at Home page. You can see that PDF that I was using by clicking this link, and you can hear me read this again by going to the screencast with no interruptions. Time for our review. What is symbolism? What are the affixes? Why do we use them? What's the difference between prefixes and suffixes? Here's the last bit of independent practice. This should be linked as well. So we've got one little worksheet about identifying and defining prefixes and the same kind of work for suffixes. As always, if you need assistance, I'm sure that you can reach out to an RPS tutor, and I'm sure I'll see you again tomorrow.